If you've been on Twitter and YouTube anytime recently and don't live in the UK, you might genuinely think that it's a failed state, that the country is extremely dangerous, where you could get stabbed at any moment in broad daylight by some illegal migrant.
Time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. Your countries are going to hell.
At the same time, the native British population is almost extinct due to the Great Replacement. Elon Musk and Wokeness and other big Twitter accounts will push this narrative by constantly showing videos of non-white people committing crimes in the UK and often completely made up statistics showing the increasing danger within the nation. Migration is presented as the downfall of the once great British Empire, its people now on the verge of extinction.
If this continues, what world will you be living in? My message is to them, that violence is going to come to you. You will have no choice. You're in a fundamental situation here where whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die. You either fight back or you die.
This agenda will also be pushed on YouTube by people like Kurt Kaz, who will go to majority immigrant neighborhoods in the south of London and say, "Oh, no British people here," and constantly discuss the demise of England.
If you had to drop me off here without knowing, I would not think this is the UK.
Kurt Kaz, even in his recent video, walked by Big Ben and said, "Look at what England used to build when it believed in God and Christianity," essentially implying that now it's controlled by Muslims. I mean, it's such a joke.
Just look at what we used to build, guys, when we were once inspired by God and by Christianity. Now, we build what? With more technology, with more advanced technology, we build Lego blocks, communist Lego blocks. And that's what happens when you lose your faith in God. You become uninspired.
But what made me want to talk about this topic was this post that I saw from Inevitable West, which shows how Poland will eventually overtake the UK in GDP per capita, a truly shocking development. And the guy added this comment on the bottom: socialism versus free market capitalism. Now, Elon Musk and other big accounts have taken this opportunity to highlight how the migration issue is the reason for this downfall. The left and the globalists and Keir Starmer are the reason for England's GDP collapsing. And at the same time, Poland is a based, migrant-free Christian country with strong patriotic fervor who will never let themselves get conquered by the hordes of Muslims like the betas and leftists in the UK are. But the true irony is that the UK's GDP is falling because of this same exact ideology of Elon Musk, Inevitable West, Kurt Kaz, and the politicians that they support, such as Nigel Farage, who led the massively damaging Brexit movement, and whose party would only accelerate the factors that are leading to the UK becoming less and less relevant, while accelerating the economic need for low-wage immigrant labor. The UK was once the second biggest economy in the EU, just behind Germany, with France in third. France has since overtaken the UK, as the decision to leave the largest single market in the world to apparently take back control of its own borders and give a middle finger to the globalists turned out to not be such a good idea, and it didn't even do anything about the migration issue. At the same time, Poland is succeeding because of everything Farage, Elon, and the rest of them hate: European economic integration, massive investment from the EU, and of course, its own massive investments into education, particularly trades, infrastructure, and industry. And to be honest, the reality is that violent crime in the UK has fallen, regardless of what you see on social media. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that migration is not an issue that doesn't need sorting, but the Twitter and YouTube crowd blows it so out of proportion that they will elect people who are literally going to cause the UK to become a second-rate country with a second-rate economy. I mean, the entire premise of Farage's and Reform's campaign hinges on this overblown issue.
London is a violent hellhole. I know this because the media constantly tells me this. But you know me, I'm an evidence-based kind of guy, so what do the stats say? There are two big problems with comparing crime rates across countries or time periods. First, definitions change. 40 years ago, if a man slapped a woman's backside in the pub, he was one of the lads. Nowadays, it would be treated as a sexual offence. Second, it's that rates of reporting change. 15 years ago, if somebody had randomly shoved me against a wall, realistically, there is nothing I would have done about it. Nowadays, it would take me 5 minutes to report that online. That's why murder is such a good stat to use. It's the ultimate in violent crime. Also, it's immune from changes in definition. You've either got a dead body, you haven't, and changes in the rate of reporting.
Let's see just how bad London really is.
Oh, wait a second. We've actually got the second fewest murders going back to 1990. And if we look at it on a 12-month rolling basis, we've only had 89 murders in the last 12 months in London, which is the lowest since this data has been provided. That's just murder. We all know London is famous for knife crime. What stat can we use that is immune from changes in definition and reporting? How about NHS admissions in London due to assault with a sharp object? Oh, okay, so that's also at a 12-year low. What's shocking about this is I haven't actually given you any crime rates yet. These have been absolute figures. In a time when London's population has massively increased, mainly due to immigration, the number of people being killed, not the percentage, the actual number of people being killed, has fallen. Why do the media and certain politicians keep lying about how dangerous London is, when in my lifetime it's literally never been safer? What's their agenda?
What's up, guys? It's your boy Marcus, back at it again with another video. Today, I want to talk about the downfall of the UK. No, not the downfall of the British native population, not the invasion of criminal migrants, but rather the economic destruction of the UK from the Tories, the neoliberal policies of the Labour Party, and of course, Brexit, led by the most loved guy on Twitter and YouTube, Nigel Farage. Now, as I have to say in every single video on this type of topic, I approach this with this incredible thing. I know it's gonna shock you. It's known as nuance. Amazing, I know, right? So this means that although I don't believe the native British population is going extinct, although I don't believe that immigrant neighborhoods in areas of London, Manchester, and Birmingham are inherently bad and a sign of demise, this doesn't mean that I'm denying that there is a problem regarding migration. Of course there is. Europe has a big problem with illegal migration from Northern Africa and the Middle East via illegal routes through the Mediterranean Sea. Do I think these illegal routes should be blocked? Yes. Do I think that if an immigrant commits a serious or violent crime, that they should go to prison and then be deported? Yes. On the other hand, do I think that if the UK has a prime minister who's British in literally every single way other than his Indian heritage, that this is somehow a sign of the country's downfall? No. I don't believe that. I'm not an idiot. Now, at the same time, the neoliberal policies of the Labour and Conservative parties over the past decade have made the migration problem worse because the establishment want steady streams of immigrants to keep wages low on some jobs, such as meatpacking, construction, or agricultural laborers. While at the same time, the establishment has done nothing about housing prices by never really increasing the housing supply while demand has massively spiked. This is an endemic failure of the system created by the political establishment, but one where the wealthiest, including those that run the two parties, profit from it, as they can afford the expensive housing and benefit from the rising shareholder value that comes with this price increase. Now, does this mean that all of the problems of the UK of crime, housing, social isolation, etc., loss of identity will be solved by deporting all of the migrants like Elon, Kurt Cass, and others push? Obviously not. The UK as it stands needs immigration, especially for those jobs, meatpacking, construction, farming, etc., because it's not just about wages, it's the fact that people raised in the first world nowadays, no matter the wage offered, simply don't want to work these types of jobs at the rate needed if we didn't have migration. So Kurt Cass wants to keep on being an alpha male and eating burgers, steaks, and hot dogs every single day. In the current economic situation, that's only really possible via some form of migration, unless we fully accept that wages in these positions will rise, but at the same time that prices will also rise with them, which people like Farage and Elon are always talking about. Oh, inflation, it's the worst thing. Now, here comes the funny part. This fear-mongering about crime and rage-baiting about crime and the British becoming a minority in their own country is completely overblown. Almost 75% of the English population identify as white and English. Wow, that's truly a population in danger of extinction. And the solution to this overblown and in many ways fake problem is Nigel Farage and his party reform. But ironically, these are the people who will accelerate the very economic policies that require a constant stream of cheap labor, while at the same time will do nothing about housing costs and will probably make the NHS even more ineffective and inefficient through funding cuts. These people will accelerate the very policies that are making Poland richer than the UK and ironically, the basis of Inevitable West's tweets. And Farage knows this. I mean, the guy has a French passport, the guy's daughters live in the EU, the guy isn't stupid. He knows what he's doing is just to benefit the small elite of the country who benefit from a cheaper pound, who benefit from consistently rising housing prices, and who benefit from always cheaper and cheaper labor, because then the labor gets cheaper, the prices go up, shareholder value increases. So in other words, the decline of the UK and its standard of economic living will not just continue at its current rate, but rather accelerate if reform controls the government. The socialism that Inevitable West is talking about is purely for the rich and the elite. And to make things even more funny, the rise of Poland is in part, yes, due to free market capitalism, but also due to major government investments in its industry. Added to that, the massive billions of euros it gets from the EU every single year. But let's be clear, Poland is not just a taker from the EU, it's an amazing EU member, as it contributes to the strength of the German economy, where many German companies are located in Poland for manufacturing. Its infrastructure is truly amazing and is getting better and better every year. I mean, Poland really demonstrates that Brexit has been a complete failure, something that these Twitter types conveniently leave out. Poland has invested billions in its education system, and I'm also talking about its trade education, and it's one of the best in the business in this, because they have millions of highly skilled workers in carpentry, electricians, welders, and that's why a lot of German companies go to Poland, and that's why Poland is able to build so effectively, because they have so many skilled workers, and that gives the country all the ingredients for massive economic growth. Now, here is where I have some more nuance, because Poland has a very strict immigration policy, not an immoral one, not an evil one. In my opinion, they have a pretty solid immigration policy, but the government has had the courage to make tough decisions over the past 10 years, whether that be the more right-wing Law and Justice Party or the centrist pro-EU Tusk government. And you gotta say, the UK, Germany, France, and others, they haven't had the courage to make these tough decisions. And in similar vein to their economic and energy policies, they've suffered massively from this. Poland is actually going to build nuclear power plants while Germany is shutting them down. It just goes to show you that Poland has no fear in making a decision that might not necessarily be popular to the international theater. Well guys, that's mainly what I wanted to talk about today. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think of reform? What do you think of Nigel Farage? And what do you think of Poland's economic policy? Let me know in the comments below. If you're new, hit that subscriber button. If you like this video, hit that like button, and I will see you guys in the next one.